In today's video, we are going to break down why retirement changes once you save $1 million. I am a certified financial planner and the founder of a wealth management firm. Every year, my company and I help individuals maximize their income and savings ahead of and during retirement. Understanding how much you need to save and invest are some of the biggest challenges pre-retirees face before retirement. Although there is no magic figure to achieve in retirement, several things change once you save $1 million. In today's video, we'll be breaking down exactly what changes once you save $1 million and some of the risks you should be aware of if and when you hit that number. The first reason everything changes is because having more money gives you optionality and flexibility. This is by far the most important reason and why I always encourage my clients to save as much as they can, as early as they can. It is so important, in fact, that I think every other reason I'm going to list today is going to be considered a subcategory. Optionality can mean a number of different things here. It could mean leaving a job you don't like. It could also mean taking a job that doesn't pay as well, but you know you would love doing. It could mean retiring early. It could mean living off of your dividends until you start receiving Social Security payments. It could also be being more charitably inclined to the organizations and people you value the most in your life. You don't necessarily need $1 million to do these things, but man, does it help to have a little extra money to give you the confidence you need when doing them. After all, having a portfolio that gives you dividends which pay you in your ability to have freedom over your time is the best dividend you can have. So let's chat together about a few of these examples. And I'm going to share some of the software planning tools and a case study that will illustrate my points. But before I do, I need to qualify a few things for you and challenges you are going to face. The biggest risk I've observed for pre-retirees reaching the $1 million milestone is a shift in their attitude and behavior towards money. Just because you've hit that 7-figure mark doesn't mean you can drastically alter your lifestyle. While it's exciting to be part of that $1 million club, it doesn't grant you a free pass to overspend. It's essential to continue living within your means. $1 million is meaningless if you use it for expenses that don't support your long-term goals or your family values. You've worked hard to build this wealth, and you need it to last through 15, 20, or even 30 plus years. I've seen individuals who should have been on track for a fulfilling retirement deplete their funds too quickly, ending up more concerned about their finances than enjoying the time with their loved ones in retirement. This is why it's so important as a pre-retiree or retiree to know your spending and have a general budget. Having a budget isn't meant to merely restrict your spending. It's meant to make sure your spending is intentional and aligns with what you truly care about. Remember, everything you do has a trade-off. There is always a balance that you need to find. So let's talk about a few of the positives now that I'll illustrate with my planning software. On our example, we have John and Mary Sample, both 60 years old who have saved $1 million in a retirement account. They have a modest lifestyle where they spend $65,000 per year. For this example, I also chose to have them receive the average Social Security amount of $1,900 a month for him and $900 a month spousal income for her. Those are the averages from the Social Security website from January 2024. Most advisors will tell you that you should utilize the 4% rule to live off of your $1 million. But in reality, you have a little bit more than that $1 million to live on. You have your $1 million plus the net present value of your future Social Security payments, which is worth a little bit more than people think. Said simply, John and Mary have their portfolio plus $30,000 in Social Security payments per year coming in 7 years, which is almost half of what they need to live off of now. This allows them to spend more than that 4%, which is $40,000 per year now, because we were able to factor in Social Security payments in a few years. Some key things to note on the screen. We are using a Monte Carlo at a 50% trail, along with showing all this money in present value, which shows all our numbers already accounting for future inflation to get us what retirement looks like in today's terms. We are going to make a few assumptions here, and that retiring early means an extra $9,000 each per year in private health insurance till Medicare kicks in. We are then just going to assume that their $65,000 spend is part of their healthcare needs from there. In John and Mary's case, they can comfortably retire. But why is the $1 million the key number here? Let's calculate if they had $800,000 in retirement, which you can see in our software system. They run out of money when they turn 82 years old and are now just relying on their Social Security payments each month. They go from a 78% probability of success to just 30%. I don't know about you, but none of my clients want to rely on the government to be sending them a check each month. So what's the difference? In both examples, they are taking out $100,000 per year from their portfolio till Social Security kicks in. This comes from $65,000 plus $18,000 plus inflation plus taxes, in which they need to get from their retirement account. I see this miscalculation all the time. People will think they can just live off of the $65,000, not factoring in taxes at all, which means that they need to take out even more than that $65,000 from their portfolio. So now going back to our first example, when Social Security finally kicks in, you have around $700,000 in your portfolio in our first example left, and $450,000 in our second example. This ultimately means you have less in your portfolio kicking off dividends and less to withdraw from, which is why it fails pretty quickly. It isn't sustainable. One more thing to think about is that the average spending in the US was $73,000 in 2022, so being able to spend a little bit less with $1 million portfolio was one more key to giving them the confidence they needed to retire early. Let's go into the second reason $1 million is where things start to change. Remember when we spoke about optionality being the top priority? What if you wanted to leave the job you are at right now to pursue other interests? Maybe a job that better aligned with how you actually wanted to spend your time and life. In fact, you don't even want to retire early. You just want to step away from that 9 to 5 where your boss isn't breathing down your back all day. Let's take another look at John and Mary's situation. If John wanted to step away and work at a different job for another 8 years, one that he could work less and spend more time with his family. In this example, let's say all things being equal and John took a $40,000 per year job. He does that job for 8 more years, less stressed and enjoying some time with his family. Spending stays the same at $65,000 per year. The first thing we see here is that John and Mary aren't paying for private health insurance, which was $18,000 per year when they retired early, since he'll be working up until Medicare kicks in. So what's happening here is that the $1 million portfolio is able to handle the small distributions from his 401k, which he can take because he is over 59 and a half. The portfolio is also slightly growing as well. This leads us to another opportunity that comes with having more financial resources, the ability to support the charities and causes you care about without having to compromise your own financial security. Whether it's your church, a local food pantry, or mentorship program for at-risk kids, you can contribute in meaningful ways. Let's use an example of $20,000 per year. On this video, we aren't going to go into advanced planning with bunching charitable deductions or using donor advised fund. You'll have to stay tuned for a future video to save even more on taxes with those strategies. Another thing John can do is after turning 70 and a half, if he rolled his money into an IRA, he can make contributions straight from his IRA, known as a qualified charitable distribution. In our example, John isn't necessarily trying to maximize his taxes. He just wants to be as charitable as possible with his money, and I wanted to show that in the most straightforward way. It's important to note that I'm not telling you that you need $1 million to make a difference in your community. You can donate your time and your energy, which can be just as impactful. I personally volunteered as a big brother in the Big Brothers Big Sisters mentorship program in New York City many years ago, and it was one of the most fulfilling experiences I had when I first moved to New York City. That doesn't require any amount of money. We are merely speaking about gifting with your assets. So let's toggle on that other option of being able to help your kids or parents for $500 a month. A client of mine recently asked if they were able to help out their parents at $500 a month, and we ran one of those scenarios just like this, and we concluded that they were able to help their parents and continue to have enough money for their own retirement. In these examples, $1 million portfolio allows you to do all those other things. Let's toggle on the starting at an $800,000 retirement portfolio and see what it does. As you can see, the probability drops significantly. The same situation is happening here as our first example. Too much money is being used too quickly, and the portfolio doesn't become sustainable to withdraw these amounts. One thing to remember is that if you don't have $1 million portfolio, you can just tweak these numbers. But as I have seen in the past, it gets tough to do everything that you want without making major sacrifices. Having a little bit more money in your portfolio allows you to withdraw more from your portfolio over your lifetime and do the things that are most important to you. Remember, having more money gives you optionality and flexibility over your time. And this is the reason I always try to have clients strive for that $1 million portfolio before they retire. Now you know some of the key reasons saving $1 million can be life-changing. You can use these factors to your advantage in understanding what you need to do to improve your own retirement plan. However, there are many risks and things to be aware of in all the factors that we have discussed today, which I haven't been able to go over in this short video. If you are looking for further information on how best to improve your retirement or financial plan, click on the link below to get started.